Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we'll be going into a straight up and the first thing I'm going to do is to draw a straight line to serve as my starting point. You can as well skip this method, just start from the beginning of your paper. So from that starting point, from that line that I marked, I'm going to go ahead and place my tape there, and then I'm going to mark my bust point, which is at 10 inches, and then from there I am going to mark my under bust and then the full length of my half length, which is 19 inches. Then I'm going to be adding about 5 inches to be able, because I want it to have a V shape at the front. That's why I added extra inches there. But if you don't want yours to have that, all you have to do is just to stop at your half length, and I just marked lines across it. And then for my half length I am doing 3 by 3, 3 for the width and 3 for the length. I'm going to give it a curve for a round neck. If you don't have your French curve, please make use of your hand for this. The next thing I did is to mark half of my shoulder measurement. I'm going to make a point there. All allowances will be added as you are transferring it into your fabric. And the next point I marked is my chest line, which is at 8 inches. So I'm just going ahead to connect all the points that I just made. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'm going to go ahead and connect this to my neckline, that's to my shoulder line. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to measure from that shoulder slope to my chest line. Whatever I have there, I'm going to divide it into 2, just like I am doing. It's either you fold your tape or you just divide it normal divide. Then from that point I'm going to go in by ½ inch from my armhole. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my bust measurement divided by 4. After that I'm going to go ahead and connect the 3 points, that the slope from my shoulder, the ½ inch I went in at my armhole line, and then my bust measurement divided by 4. So you see it. If you don't have your French curve, please go ahead and you make use your hand, your free hand. I do that a lot in my channel, which you guys have seen 1 or 2. So I'm just labeling this so that you guys can understand what I'm trying to do. You don't make mistake. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to mark half of my shoulder measurement, which is 4 inches. I marked it at my under bust, my waistline, and my hemline. I'm just trying to and also at my bust line, I'm just trying to connect the lines that I just marked. I'm going to extend the line to my hemline afterward. So to the side going towards my waist, to my center front, I'm taking 1 inch there. Then I'm going to connect it with a straight curve. If you are very small, like a size 6 or so, you can do 0.75. Then from the side going towards my same side, I'm taking 1.5 inches. Then if you are small as well, you can do 1.25 or 1.25, yes. Then if you are very very big, you can do 2 inches. I'm sorry about that. Then I'm going to divide my shoulder area by 2, the point from my neckline that I marked to my shoulder. What I have there, I divided it by 2, and I connect the line to meet my bust point. So the next thing I'm going to do, I went down by 1 inch from my bust point, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect these 2 points that I just showed you guys. Just place your curve well and connect it. If you don't have your curve, please make use of your hand. Whatever you have, you do, you look at it and make sure it doesn't have a sharp edge. Then from my chest line I went up by 1.5 inches because I want it to be more covered. I do not want it to be exposed. If you want, you can leave yours at that. And then at that chest line, the new chest line we created, I'm taking 1 inch from there, and we are going to go ahead and connect it to the bust point, just like we did for the from the under bust to the chest line. I will do the same thing for this. Make sure you place your tape well before connecting. So this is it. At this point, if you want to do your chest tightening, you can then extend the line all the way to the shoulder line, but make sure that whatever you do, you do not tamper with the shoulder measurement. It's going to affect the back. But for this, I'm not doing chest tightening, so or yoke tightening, whichever you call it. So we've taken our bust measurement. I'm just replacing the dart allowance that we added there. If you don't replace it, it's going to be very tight for you. So I just replaced it, measure it, and then replace it at the bust area. Then I went to height to mark it. Then at the under bust as well, I'm going to mark my under bust divided by 4. Then I'll measure that whatever I have there, I'm going to replace it as well, and I'll do the same thing for my waistline. So I noticed that the measurement I took for my under bust is not the right measurement. That's what I just remarked. It was bigger than my measurement. So I went ahead to replace it and make the necessary adjustment. Then from my waistline, I'm going to slant this to meet the place that we call our hemming area. If you want, you can leave this at the time you want to. After sewing it, you can then cut it off. But I just did it now for the purpose of those that want to do it now. So that's all for this front bodice. If you haven't subscribed to my channel up to this moment, please take a moment, take 1 minute, 1 second to hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed to my channel. Share my videos to family and friends. Thank you for all your support. So at the chest line, I decided to just give it a little curve there. If you want, you can leave yours straight, but I just decided to give it a little curve, not too deep, because I don't want my cleavage to be exposed. But you can go as deep as you want. This is just a personal preference. And remember, when I was cutting the bust area, I did not replace the dart. I forgot again. So I'm going to replace this when I want to transfer it to your fabric. Just make sure that you replace all the darts that you take out while cutting out yours. All the darts, please replace them. So this is the front bodice after cutting it. Going into the yoke part, we're going to go ahead and work on the yoke now. Then I went ahead to cut my yoke just to have a full view of what we have. You have, because the two sides are not the same, that's why I have a full view. So from this side from my armhole area, I came out by 1.5 inches, and then from there I went up by 4 inches, and then at the right side I'm going to go in by 1.5 inches as well. The first one is 1.5 inches, and then the other side was 1.5 inches. So I'm going to connect the 1.5 inches at the left side up to the 4 inches I marked at the right side. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to connect the line from the left side to the right one. It's not a so straight line, so I'm just trying to get a perfect curve for this. Not too curvy, but not a straight line. But you can as well go ahead and make yours straight or more curvy depending on what you want. This is just a personal preference. Do whatever works for you. You can as well change the neckline to whatever that you like. So that's all for this yoke. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. All allowances will be added while transferring this to our fabric, just like I mentioned. So we're going to go ahead and mark our back bodice. I've gone ahead to draw a straight line to serve our starting point, and the first line I marked is my bust point, and then my under bust, and then my waistline. So this back bodice is going to be stopping at 19 inches. We are not adding extra allowance because it's not going to have curve. It's not going to have curve. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark the line straight. Then the next thing I did is to take half of my shoulder measurement, and from there I'm going to go down by for my chest line as well, just like we did at the front bodice. And the back one is going to have a high neck. a high neck, it's not going to have any stylish design there because of my back. But if you want your back exposed, please go ahead and do whatever that you like. So I just went ahead to mark my half of my bust measure for my bust measurement divided by 4. Then I'm just connecting it to my armhole line. Then I'm going to go ahead and take all the measurements. I've already marked the bust one. The next one is my under bust, and then also my waistline. Then just like we did at the front, we are taking our nipple to nipple measurement for our dart, which is at 4 inches. I just went ahead to connect the line straight. The next thing, okay, I just decided to label this so that you guys will understand what I am trying to do and no mistake. Then the next thing I did is to take 1 inch from both sides of the 4 inches that we marked, and I'm going to connect it to my bust point, but it's not going to meet my bust point. I'm going down by 1 inch, just like I did at the front part. Just make sure it doesn't get to your bust point. It's just a normal waist dart that we're trying to create. Okay, as we have taken our measurement, the next thing I'm going to do, we're taking the bust, is to replace the dart that is there. So I'm going to measure the dart and then replace it, and I'll do the same thing for the waistline. Add my measurement divided by 4 and then replace the dart. So this is it after we are done for the bodies. So the next line, just remember we did 3 inches for the width, so I'm just marking 3 inches for this width as well. Then 1.5 inches for the length, for the depth. Since I told you guys it's going to be having a high neck, but if you want at this point create a stylish neckline, it's a personal preference. Then I went ahead to mark 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'm going to go ahead and connect this to my neckline. And that's all for the back bodies. It's not something there's no something serious there. It's just the normal waist dart that we did. So I'm just cutting it out. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up as you are enjoying the video. So if you want, you can as well. What I'm trying to do here is to take out 1 inch from the center back. This will help to eliminate any bulge there. So I'm going to curve it to connect it to the side seam. I'm not going to touch my side seam. I'm just taking out some inches from my. Please do not cut your own out. There's no need for that. And just like I said, all allowances will be added to the fabric, and which I am doing now. So for these front bodies, I am adding 1/2 inch all around the center front, just like you are seeing me do all around. Then for the side front, I'm adding at the side seam, I'm adding 1.5 inches there. And remember, I talked about replacing my dart at that area that I just marked, that I did not add right before cutting it out. So I just replaced the dart and add 1/2 inch to the other side of the bodies. Then for this part, I decided to just replace the slanted area that we cut out. I'm going to cut it out when I am done stitching it. I do not want to have any problem there, but if you want, you can leave yours like that. And then I added 1/2 inch allowance for stitching. So I'm just going to extend the center line downward and cut everything out. So that's basically it. The center front is going to be having, remember, the center front is going to be at the folded place. Please, you don't want your center bodies open. So it's going to be folded, and my fabric is folded as well. So the whole round is half inches. The only place we have more than 1/2 inch is the seam side, which is 1.5 inches. Then for the back, I added 1 inch or more than, whichever works for you, for our zipper allowance. And then I added 1/2 inch all round as well. Then at the seam side, I added 1.5 inches for stitching and normal allowance. And then for our front yoke, we're going to go ahead and cut it out. Our fabric is folded into two. I'm just marking it to know the right and the wrong place. So I'm going to go ahead and add half inch stitching around it, just like we did at the other part. We're just adding half inch all around. And that's basically all for the yoke. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Remember, our fabric is on fold. I want to use one to turn one, but if you don't want to use one to turn one, that you want to use your normal lining, please just cut it in a single piece and then cut out your lining to turn it inside out. I hope you understand this as well. Then onto our skirt, my fabric is folded, and whatever you're going to fold should be enough for your hip measurements and your allowance. That's what I folded there. So I'm just marking out the rough edges of my Ankara fabric, and my measurement is going to be starting from there, which is going to serve our center as our beginning. Then I went down by 8 inches from my hip point. For my hip, I'm just marking the line across that. Then still placing my tape at the starting point. I marked at my knee measurement, and then I'm just pulling the tape to be at the 19 inches of our waistline, so that I can be able to mark the full length of the skirt, which is at 58 inches, right? I cannot even remember, but I think it's 58 inches. Then I added 2 inches allowance. You can add more on this allowance depending on how much fabric you use to turn your fabric inside out. So this is our waist, hip, knee, and then hemming line. So what I'm just telling you is that whatever you're going to fold should be enough for your hip, and then some inches for your allowance. The next thing I'm going to do is to add my waist measurement divided by 4. I went ahead to mark it, and then for my dart, we also do half of our nipple measurement. Then from there, I'm going to go down by 5 inches for my dart depth. Just make sure your dart doesn't get to the hip. That's the most important one. So I later did at 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this line and then take out my dart. My dart, I am doing half inch on both sides. Then after taking it out, I'm going to go ahead and replace the dart that I took out from my waist measurements. I marked at 1 inch, but I later reduced it to half inch. That's why you can see double lines there. Then for my hip measurement, is my hip measurement divided by 4 as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and add my allowance. I added 1 inch. You can as well add as much as you can. You can see how I place my curve, my ruler, while trying to connect the two lines. If you don't have your curve, please connect it with your hand, but make sure that you connect it the right way, just like you can see. Then the next measurement is our knee. I'm going to measure my hip plus the allowance, and whatever I have there, I'm going to minus 1 inch from there, and then mark it at my knee line. You can minus as much as you want. Just know that how much you minus from there or you take away from there is the more you reduce it, the more tight it's going to be at your knee length, and the more you might be uncomfortable to work with. Just remember that. Then I'm going to go ahead and mark the same measurement I marked at my knee line to my hem line, and then connect the lines. And that's all for the front part. We're going to go ahead and cut this out before going onto the back skirt pattern. Then for the back skirt, I just placed the front one onto another fabric folded, and I added 1 inch allowance for my zipper. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the same thing, and the only difference is the zip. And that's all for this style. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you do. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed to my channel, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.